Hi all, welcome to Ranjit Anesthesia Academy. Today topic is going to be about perioperative right ventricular dysfunction. Let me start on an interesting note. According to Hindu mythology, Lord Shiva is one of the most powerful god on earth. He can do whatever he wants. Your left ventricle is very similar to that. Whenever we say ventricle or a cardiac function, we relate left ventricle to that. But we have to understand that Lord Shiva cannot execute his power unless Goddess Parvati say you can go ahead. So the key is with Goddess Parvati. Your right ventricle is exactly similar to Goddess Parvati. Unless the right ventricle is normal, the left ventricle can never be normal. With this background, let us go to a situation how you deal with right ventricle. Right ventricle, whenever we deal with the right ventricular dysfunction, it is a complex situation. You have to look whether the right ventricle was normal before and became abnormal in the perioperative period, or whether it was abnormal before and it is worsened during the perioperative period. We have to look at the pulmonary artery pressure, whether the left ventricle was normal or it is causing the right ventricular dysfunction, whether the lung was normal or abnormal. Coming to the respiratory parameter which significantly affects the right ventricle, we have to see whether the patient is on spontaneous ventilation or a mechanical ventilation, whether it is inspiratory stage or a expiratory stage. Coming to the volume, either it is high volume ventilation or a low volume ventilation, or is a pressure controlled ventilation or a volume controlled ventilation. And we have to look whether the patient is on PEEP or high PEEP or low PEEP, and we have to compare between volume controlled ventilation and a pressure controlled ventilation, not to forget the frequency of ventilation. Apart from that, various positioning like prone and supine can affect the right ventricle and whether it is a systolic or diastolic failure. So we have many factors to take into consideration when you are dealing with the right ventricle. In the next 25 to 30 minutes, I will be dealing with right ventricular physiology in comparison with the left ventricle. What is the various etiology and how is the pathology of the right ventricular dysfunction in the perioperative period, how you are going to diagnose apart from echo, and the most important thing is going to be the ventilation, how you ventilate a patient with right ventricular failure, and finally how you are going to manage right ventricular dysfunction.